Hey there, here we have another equipment installation review. This one should be interesting uh, based on the color of that pool. Could be better. It was running when I got here, but clearly there's a little bit of a problem. So let's take a look at some good and some bad. So we have some old 1.5" poly down there. This is the back one I'm talking about. 1.5" poly that's been clamped onto a 2 by 1.5" reducing bushing, into a 2" 45, into a 2" street elbow, into a 2" sweep elbow, into the pump. So it's got a decent straight run into the pump. I like that it's rigid. I like that it's 2". I wish they hadn't used a 45 and a street elbow. But you know, it is what it is. That street elbow could have been a sweep elbow, would have been better for the flow dynamics. Now this room is pretty dark here, but back here that you can barely see is a Pentair IntelliFlow pump, variable speed, which is fantastic. Arguably the best variable speed pump on the market. Okay, coming out of the top here, we got another street elbow, which I would have preferred to see a sweep, and we run into this cartridge filter. It's a nice big Jandy cartridge filter, but holy schlamoli, does it ever look bad. Now, this looks to me like corrosion. My first thought, just because I can see the staining down the side, is the band clamp must have been leaking. Like maybe that's the case, but it would have had to have been pretty bad. This looks like oxidization and corrosion. Like who knows what happened here. This is in a protected shed, so this wasn't even exposed to the elements. And I've seen these band clamps, look rough before, but this is the worst I've seen by miles. So who knows? Maybe the owner of the pool used a wire brush to clean it one year and took off all the protected coating, and this is the result. Or perhaps this is from galvanic corrosion. We have dissimilar metals here. It's been leaking, as I can see, so the water was able to access it. Could have been, but I mean, this is pretty extensive. Now, given that a filter is a pressure vessel and really quite dangerous, something that people they don't give enough respect to how dangerous a gigantic tank like this, charged at 30 psi, can be. So, if I see a problem with a band clamp like this on a large cartridge filter, I want to see that replaced. I don't see any reason why you would ever risk not replacing that when it clearly looks that bad. Okay, that being said, we go into the filter. Here we come out of the filter. Again, you can't see it very well, so we'll jump back around to this side. Well, basically that's it over in the dark corner. This line that's coming up is coming right from the filter. Go into the heater with the male adapter. Actually, you can't see this either. This is braided PVC flex line, kind of like you would typically see going in between a pump and a filter on an above ground pool. I've never seen it glued before. I've only ever seen it clamped. Some intrepid installer decided to glue that, and wouldn't you know, it's holding on there okay. I'd replace it, but it's not currently leaking. Okay, so out of the filter, 45, 90, 90, into an inline chlorinator here. Now that's interesting because I see that there's a Jandy Aquapure salt chlorinator control box mounted on the wall, but there is also this inline Hayward erosion feeder. I'm guessing that, given the state of the pool and the equipment here, I think it's most likely that the Aquapure unit failed and they just replaced it with this inline chlorinator as the next best option. Now, again, no check valve in between that chlorinator and this heater, so the heater would be subject to the potential for extra damage from the chlorine backtracking through the system. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so there's a lot that I would change on this if this were my system, but you can definitely find the positives. Like we've got this one of the best pumps on the market for sure in this variable speed pump. Jandy cartridge filter is a fantastic unit here. Just got to replace that band clamp because I don't like how that looks. Perhaps you could get a new cell for the Jandy system there, and you could get the salt back up and running. But if you're going to stay with that erosion feeder, move it further from the heater. It's like maybe 3 inches from the side of the heater. I would like to see that a minimum of 12 inches away from the side of the heater. And then I would also add a check valve in between that and the heater to prevent any corrosion from happening to the heater. Now I can see in this room nothing is bonded. The heater's not bonded. The pump's not bonded. Those would be the final things that I address. So most of this needs to be updated, but there are a couple nice points in this room.